Welcome. We're going to cover real quick some of the commands that we use quite frequently when doing LEGO NXT programming. To start with, I'm going to close this little help area here. If you want that back, just click on the Robo Center. If you want that back, just click on the little Lego brick that's there. Let's go through the complete palette. Again, there are 3 different palettes down here. The complete one shows everything, and let's start with the common. And let's take a move command and bring it down. We'll just walk through those real quick. We've got the A, B, and C ports again. B and C are selected here. You can just deselect them. But when we have a robot that is moving, typically the B and C ports are used. We've got direction here, forward and reverse. We've got steering. We've got a slider here to go left and right, as well as we have the ability of selecting which ones go where. But anyway, what you may find when you're setting your direction or your steering is that sometimes the robot isn't going the direction you want it to. That's because the software doesn't know how you set up your robot and which direction is forward and which direction is reverse. So you may have to go in and tweak those. On to power, we've got a slider here, and that goes all the way up to 100%, as well as we have a number, and you can just change that number to change it as well. At 100%, the robot is at full power and going as fast as it can. At 0, obviously, the robot's not going to move. When you're set at low speeds, just so you're aware, there may be some times when the robot won't move if you're set at 10 or 20%. Some of that is due to the weight of the robot and so on, and just the motors in the slower or in the lower power settings may not function adequately, so you may have to bump that up a little bit to get what you're looking for. Onto duration, we've got a number of different elements there. We've got unlimited, which actually does get used a bit. Typically, when you want a motion to happen up until you see a sensor or something, that's when unlimited would be used. Degrees, the number of degrees, and 360 degrees is a full circle, so that is one full rotation. Let's change that to 180 right now just for kicks. And let's look at the next one, rotations, and you can see when I switch to rotations, we've got a half a rotation, which was 180 degrees, so same thing. It will make that conversion for you. And then we have seconds. You know, we can have a quarter second, a half second, a full second, whatever, however long we want our robot to sit and wait, or to do the move command. The next action, we've got brake and coast. In other words, if we want the robot to stop immediately after this particular move, we will apply a brake. Otherwise, we can allow it to coast. And if we have another move command after this one, it's usually best to have coast, so you don't say move straight for a couple rotations and then decide to make a turn. That doesn't work real well. If you have a brake in the middle, it makes for very jerky motions. Let's go through some of the other elements here. Sound is one, and we've got some sound files that you can use, or tones. I'm going to turn the volume down a little bit because some of those are a little bit loud, but let's just go through them real quick a little bit.
Good morning.
You can see any of these that I click on, it will actually read it.
Left.
So, and you can play around with those. There's a whole bunch of them. I'm not going to go through all of them, but let's go to tone for a second. It's like playing a piano. You can pick the different notes and the duration and so on. You can play a song if you'd like. Let's see. And there's a few other things there, but let's keep moving. Let's go to the display and bring that down, and you can see there are a number of images, text, so you can put numbers on the display. That's the display on the NXT brick and what we ultimately decide to have displayed and when we want it displayed. You can see, like the sounds, there are a whole bunch of different options there. Something you can play around with. The wait command, we can have it set for a certain time. In other words, a half second, a quarter second, 1.5 seconds, whatever we want that to be. Or we can set this up for a sensor. And there's a list of them. light sensor, rotation sensor, sound sensor. You want to tell it what port that sensor is connected to. In other words, there are 4 different inputs on the brick, and you want to identify which one we're looking at, and then the different action, whether in this case for a touch sensor, whether you're pressing it, releasing it, or if it's just bumped. So a number of different options there. Let's look at the loop command, because that's kind of a fun one. For the loop command, let's put a move in the middle of it. And I think you get the idea that a loop command, well, you know what, let's put another move in there as well. So if I wanted to have the robot do some kind of motion, if I want it to drive through a certain sequence and do that repeatably, I would use the loop to have it continue doing that. And then we have switch. And the switch is a little bit different. Back to this touch sensor that we had, we can select which sensor we want to use. So again, we could have it be the touch sensor, we could have it be something else. And we've got 2 different options then. So in this case, for the bump sensor, when it's pressed, we're going to drive the robot forward or backward. And then let's take a sound in the other option. So if I release it, not only will it stop moving because it will no longer be going through that path, depending on how I have that set. But once I release it, it might play a sound. So again, just some fun things to play around with. The action, I won't get into that one so much. Back down here under the sensors, we talked about these a little bit. Touch sensors, the little, it's like a little button that you press. The sound sensor goes off of sound. You know what, let's put that one in there and just talk about that one for a moment. Again, you select the port and you compare it. It's typically in decibels, so in this case, and sometimes you're looking for greater than, sometimes you're looking for less than. In this case right now, and I think, again, I think that's in decibels, I think we're looking for over 50 decibels of noise. And when that condition is achieved, then we'll move on to whatever's after that particular sensor. The light sensor we calibrate, and we have to tell it what white is, what black is, and then we can make decisions based on that. So whether we want the robot to follow a line or a number of other things. It can actually detect colors even though it's seeing shades of gray, but it can do that. The ultrasonic sensor, it can tell us distances and make decisions based on that. So as the robot is coming up on something, when it gets to within a certain distance, less than or greater than, we have that capability again. But say that we want the distance to be less than, in this case, it looks like 50 inches, we can have the robot start to slow down, or we could change that to 5 inches. So when the robot gets within 5 inches of something, we can have it slow down, but we can change or speed up if we want, or we can change that to centimeters. So just a number of things there to play with. We've got rotation sensor, which is looking at the different motors and seeing where they're positioned. I won't get into that at this point. Timer, so a few different options there. With that, I guess that'll wrap up this session. Thanks, and we'll see you back in the next video.